There, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to 30 days of sketches combined with Mixed Media Mayhem and the Iron Crafter Challenge. The sketch we are using today for 30 days is from Angie Saylor Aleszczyk, and the Mixed Media Mayhem recipe for today is to use leftover alphas, which you can see I've got there on my desk, gelatos or art crayons, and texture paste. So I did pull out that brown texture paste, but I'm not going to end up using it. I'm going to end up using white, and I'm going to color it with my gelatos because I wanted it a little bit lighter. I've also got this beautiful paper from MK over at Some Assemblage Required, and a little pack of wood veneer books also from MK's shop, Some Assemblage Required. Now, these alphas were in my get rid of pile. There's really not a whole lot left to them, and they are very kind of shiny and glossy on the top. So as you saw there, I tried my gelato over the top and it doesn't stick, it doesn't show at all. So I ended up going in with some texture paste over the top of it, hoping that would allow it to stick. So you're going to see that in a minute here. But I did pull out this beautiful piece of paper from the wood grain floral pack from MK's shop. I'll link that down below for you in case you're interested in that. If she's out of stock, put your name on the wish list because it does allow her to know that people are interested, and she will have more made and then offer them again in her shop. So I pulled out some crackle paste. This is, I believe, from Deco Art. Um, I really didn't need crackle paste. I thought it would maybe do some work and give it some extra texture, but I don't know if adding the gelato kind of made it so that it doesn't crackle, or if it was just the amount I put on there or the surface that it's on, but it didn't really crackle very much at all. It actually crackled more on this paper that I'm using underneath my alphas versus on top of the alphas. So it very much could be the surface that I applied it to. I am using that, I think it's called chai latte, something, um, I think it's chai, for the color of the gelato, which is a metallic one, which is actually the Iron Crafter challenge for today is to use something with metal or metallic. So I am using that. I am actually going to be using some metal pieces as well, but this definitely counts, even though it doesn't end up looking metallic, because in the crackle paste, it kind of, I think I would have had to have a lot less crackle paste and a lot more gelato for it to actually read as metallic, but it does change the color just enough so that it is not white, but also not this black color. I will be rubbing that gelato over the top of it to give it even more of the metallic look, but it's not going to be bold and in your face or anything like that. It's a pretty mild color, even though it looks like it's pretty dark in the tube. So I'm just kind of like tapping it on to the letters here. I'm not waiting for or not going for a smooth look or anything like that. I don't mind if it's bumpy. It's kind of like the whole point of it, right? At least for this particular layout. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere my wood grain pieces down, and then I'm going to use the rest of that texture paste through the Distressed Diamond stencil from Arden Creative Studio. I don't think MK has these in her shop anymore, but if she does, I'll link them down below. You might actually be able to find it at either scrapbook.com or Cherry on Top if she doesn't have it in her shop. If I find a link for it in one of those places, I'll put the link for it below also. But it's a great stencil, and I think it sold out pretty quickly, so no guarantees. Okay, so here's where I am just adding this texture right over the top. These two pieces of paper you probably saw in yesterday's video. I kind of used these pieces of paper to sop up the mixed media that I did on yesterday's layout. Um, I am going to be using these papers down the road still, but I don't mind if there's lots of layers of texture. I'm just going with it and enjoying the process and the outcome. Do I care if it gets on my glass mat? No, that's what my glass mat's there for. But I thought instead of wasting any of the medium of the crackle paste or whatever I happen to be putting down, I might as well put it onto those papers and see what happens. So kind of my new MO. I think I mentioned that yesterday. Hopefully, you guys can see the benefit to it, but it definitely doesn't waste any product. As you can see, here's a couple other of my older book pages that I am using to go ahead and back my photographs. And I think they worked really well because there's a lot of blue in those photographs between his shirt and the blue that's coming in the windows. It's the perfect paper to go ahead and back my photos. So my photos, in case you're wondering, are about going to the library and doing some schoolwork or homework at the library. My little guy, I have some of the Melissa and Doug water books where he just uses a pen that has water in it and it reveals the picture. And Big Sister is actually doing homework. So I just wanted to capture that because, he always wants to do what they're doing. And so he's doing his not homework while she's doing her homework. We did take a quick break and go and pick out some books while she was finishing up a couple of things. But yeah, it was kind of a different way to spend the afternoon. We don't normally do that at the library. Normally we do homework at home, but we had to go and pick up the other sister from a play date, and it was close to the library. So that's why we were just kind of killing some time, getting the homework done, and spending about, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes at the library. I am adding these gear pieces. These are old and from my stash. I don't know actually where they're from. They actually look metal, but they are not. They are plastic, or yeah, I'm pretty sure plastic. I don't think they're resin. They're too light to be resin. And then that book plate, I actually um, have that. That is a metal piece, and I just date stamped on that background paper, those book papers, the actual date, and I put it behind that book plate. I thought that was a really cute way to do that because they are at a library. It reminds me of an old school library um, card catalog, and it was the best match for the color. I do have a square one as well, but it's like a high gloss silver, so I thought I would just use this kind of bronzy, brassy looking one, and I really like how that's looking. And then I've got my wood veneer pieces picked out, and I am fussy cutting out some of the florals from MK's uh, paper pack on the back of the piece that shows you what all of the wood grains are in the pack. There are some cut aparts, as you can see here. So I'm cutting those apart and using them on this particular layout. I will link the paper pack again, as I mentioned, down below. Um, while I do that, I want to mention also that is a link to the playlist for Mixed Media Mayhem and for the Iron Crafter Challenge and for 30 Days of Sketches down below. This is three different hops, three different things going on. Mixed Media Mayhem is primarily mixed media focused. Iron Crafter is usually um, one specific item focused or a recipe. Uh, this month is metal, so I am using the metal pieces. And then, of course, 30 Days of Sketches is all 30 days. For October, there is a different sketch. The sketch I'm using today is from day 11. It is not today's sketch. Um, I kind of went through and picked and chose. I chose the ones that worked best with my photos, and I thought this one worked really well with these photos and would lend itself well to using up these old alphas. Now, do those alphabets spell anything? No. Are they in a library and doing schoolwork or homework or whatever? Well, one of them is. So I figured alphabets work and it's school related, so I'm going to go with it. That circular piece I just put down is actually a floral. It's kind of hard to see on camera because it's very light in color, but just adding a couple of florals and a couple of little wispy um, leafy branches, I guess, to the layout is going to soften everything up. And I really like how this ends up looking. I do realize that my white paper in the background, which is just a piece of close to my heart daisy white, is a little bit bigger than 12 by 12. I think all of their paper is just like a hair over. And so I am going to trim it off at the top so you're not going to see that white peeking out at the top above the wood grain because the wood grain is a true 12 by 12. I just didn't want you to think that the wood grain was slightly smaller than a 12 by 12 because it is not. It is 12 by 12, just the daisy white is just slightly bigger. And so I think that's going to work really well. I'm just using my liquid glue to adhere the pieces down. I will be using I did use glue dots to adhere those um, plastic pieces, and I am going to use some metal brads to adhere the book plate to the background. I will also take some washi tape and put it over the brads in the top, so when I slide it in and out of the page protector, it doesn't get caught up on the other layout. I'm adding this craft colored tag. I'm not really writing anything on the tag. There's not a whole lot to write here other than what we're doing. And I am going to add a couple of little tiny labels from the cut apart sheet, and that's going to give me plenty of room to write what happened and what we're doing. I do like the added texture that the tag brings as well as the string on the tag. And then I am using my piercing mat from MK's shop. It comes in the stitching starter set, and I'm using that to catch my piercing tool as I create the holes for the brads that are going to hold this book plate in place. So I kind of think these brads might not be the ones that actually go with the book plate. I have no idea if they have special ones or not, but the back of these brads are pretty big, so I had to kind of make my hole just a little bit bigger that I was piercing. And in case you're wondering about that piercing tool, it is a Tim Holtz Sizzix, I think it's Sizzix set. Yeah. And it comes with that piercing tool. It also comes with a one that has like a brush wheel on it so that you can um, poke all of the pieces out of a die cut piece that you don't want. And it has a magnet on one end. So I actually had no idea that was a piercing tool for the longest time. I think when I did my video for my sorting out my tote bag for travel, I was like, I don't even know what this tool is for. Thought it was just for like a large stylus, but then I realized, oh, the end of it comes off and there's actually a pokey tool inside. So that was kind of cool. So now I've got three pokey tools in there. Um, so very handy. So just trimming off the edge here, and that is pretty much it. Here are the close-ups. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe. If you're not subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to check out all the links for all three of these hops down below. You'll find tons of inspiration using sketches, mixed media, and using metal pieces or metallic pieces. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again in another video real soon. Bye-bye.